think I don't know if it's a person or if it's a group of people, like an organization. I don't know. Sometimes Sota says I, sometimes Sota says we.
What's up, baby dolls? You're probably watching the B Roots and Sota stuff going on, showing some, I don't know, some psychological breakdown.
I don't know about you, but I feel like I've become part of a comic book. We have villains, we have crime, we have justice. I'm fascinated about the new character that just joined the community. Sota.
Look, man, trust me. I want to ask, look. Do you think it's good that people are paying attention to something?
Remember when Giga said this?
The Great Hexolio account got banned, so I had to rebuild my fucking whole Twitter.
Let's play that again. This time from the beginning. Pay attention to what he says.
Brother, just building up my Twitter again. I got Hexolio banned. The Great Hexolio account got banned, so I had to rebuild my fucking whole Twitter.
Except there's only one problem. It wasn't. On August 31st, I launched an investigation to find the truth and expose what happened to the 9mm protocol. And after making many connections and linking these coordinated attacks to each other, I've uncovered secrets that's been gatekept, and it's the biggest scandal in PulseChain history. This Cabal group is real, and they would have got away with it if Giga never posted this. Our story begins on April 27th with a crypto coin called Access. One of the victims who owned 10% of the supply was a whale by the name Walter. And there are many deep connections and ties between this and the 9mm protocol. But first, let Walter tell his story.
So I was relatively inexperienced. I got brought in by some friends that just weren't really telling me what the deal was. And I went looking for answers and ended up in Axis's private Telegram. Once in there, I was in there for 2 months. During then, he launched his coin. I bought up 10% of it by setting high slippage and didn't even realize that I had bought 10% of the supply of his coin. And I told my 2 friends who got me into this stuff that apparently I'm one of the top holders in this coin. I didn't even realize. I was attending private streams in his Telegram, and during one of the private streams, they called out my address, and he was basically like, we don't really know what this person's intent is. And then I privately reached out to Axis after the stream and was like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, not necessarily this wallet, but how should I have handled selling to not fuck with momentum? Like I'm not trying to work against everybody right now, Fast forward, Axis and Co. wanted me to make it out to PulseChain tours so they could kind of like meet me, see what my deal was as a top holder or whatever. I couldn't make it because I would have to sell a bunch of his token to like afford a flight and then go out there and like hang out and chill with people. So I didn't consider that a possibility, really. And I felt like that would be understandable to the owner of the coin, but I started to feel like a sense of animosity from kind of like him and his cohort. So I started to feel like, oh, okay, I'm on the out, and I don't really understand why. Like, I don't think I should be. I've been trying to like play along and like whatever, not sell your token. Like, what the fuck?
Walter was targeted for simply doing the one thing we all believe in, and that's holding and investing long term, which is what every founder wants you to believe. Unfortunately for the victim, he was involved with the wrong people who tried to manipulate and pressure him to sell so their inner circles and groups could buy up the supply. This is clear abuse of influence and not what decentralization stands for. And now we get back to why I said there's a connection between this and the 9mm protocol. Listen to what he says next.
They knew that I was going to block blend every now and then, and they knew that I only had one wallet and that I was connecting directly to block blend from that wallet. As far as how my wallet got identified, whether it was through just observing the conversation in the boardroom, because you could feel some of that tension between the in-group and me in the broader boardroom. So like whoever wanted to pay enough attention might be able to pick up on that and then deduce it from top holders.
Now listen to Bullish, one of the leaders of Tang Gang, and what he said.
And where there's a because if that
right, and this is my point. Like Deva has said this publicly, that he mentioned it in the space, and that space is probably recorded. We can probably pull up the clip where he clearly says, "Yeah, we have a built-in emergency end state function." This person probably heard it and was like, "All right, this is my way in." But if it's someone outside of this circle, then they probably heard that and has been planning on how to attack that function this entire time.
This is not a coincidence. The exploit on Axis happened 5 months ago, and yet they're saying the same thing 5 months later. Keep in mind, Walter doesn't know what a Tang Gang is, nor have I ever talked to Bullish or asked for a statement. What they both said was someone had to be paying attention to details and profiling them, which is how they were able to exploit Walter's wallets and attack the 9mm protocol. And here's another connection. During the Axis exploit, a conversation between KDP and the founder Axis was had. She made a very important statement and said, "Don't you find it a bit weird that the hacker isn't just dumping? That's not normal hacker activity." He responds by saying, "Very weird." Now fast forward 5 months later and you have the same people asking the same exact question. If he can just take the money whenever, why doesn't the scammer take all the money in LPs? And here are the 9mm funds in a hacker's wallet. Just like the Axis exploit, these scammers don't move funds immediately. Now as we transition back to Walter, not only does he talk about the suspects and how they did it, but oddly enough, they were the first ones talking about it in Telegram the moment it happened.
I went to Katie's Cabal to say that the wallet that just lost all that. So the Axis holding was split in two Some of it was immediately dumped. And, that was what I was talking about, the 2.5% and the 7.5%. The 2.5% was dumped immediately in that moment. And the 7.5 or whatever the actual quantities was sent to another wallet and held longer. And my hack was, it was a fake block blend telegram that, God damn. So they had added me to a telegram. Giga and Almighty are clearly implicated from the video clip. And I don't know whether this was Axis reaching out to them or if my friend was a dumbass and spoke too much. I really don't know how Giga and Almighty learned about me as a target, but it's clear that I was their target. And I'm not all there. I wasn't all there when I was trying to make a transaction. It was stupid. I clicked something wrong. But it wasn't an exploit of the chain. It was a spoofed block blend telegram that led me to a spoofed block blend front end. I connected my wallet to the spoofed front end and gave it access to my holding of specifically Axis and Pulse, and it drained those two holdings only. Well, I feel like basically the entire chain smelled that something was up and that this wasn't a normal exploit, that it wasn't just like some random drain. I think a vast majority of people knew that it was targeted, and I was late to the party in that regard. The next morning, that 7.5% remainder was dumped in an instant at like 6 a.m., immediately bought back up in a V. The more I thought about it, the more I started to smell foul of like
it was coordinated. We find it odd that Giga, the prime suspect, shows up immediately after Axis's exploit talking about it. And 5 months later, guess who shows up right after the 9mm exploit? Giga.
I've only ever attacked a fucking tweet where you came at Richard Hart.
Just by the sound of it, it just sounds too calculated for me.
What tweets do I have where I attack Richard
very
Hart?
calculated. Like you're just very calculated. It's all for the
No, hold on, famous. Let them hash this out.
Why are these guys? Why do they seem so coordinated? And every time I turn around, it's the same people that are involved.
Now you might say it's just a coincidence that Giga happens to be at the crime scene right when these exploits take place. But pay attention to what Walter says on how far back these scammers targeted him.
How far back I got targeted. It had to have been a month or more. But at some point I got targeted. I got added to junk telegrams. You know what I'm talking about? Spoof telegrams. Nothing was themed like block blend in particular. These are all the details that made me get more and more suspicious with time. It's not that hard for them to social engineer if they want to. Like they stylized a group that they had added me to previously as block blend once they learned that detail about me. I'm referring to Giga and Almighty.
Now, before we do an in-depth analysis, just remember that 1 month time frame of 30 days, because that's going to connect many of these scammers and exploits together. As we look over here on the Axis chart, you can see there were two sell-offs, and the second one being close to $1 million. And guess who bought the bottom of that wick? That's right, Giga. So here's Giga's wallet on screen, buying up right after the hacker sold off the victim's Axis tokens. Now again, you might just say this is just coincidental, that he just so happens to be at the crime scene 17 hours after Walter's wallet was drained. So I took it upon myself to look at his wallet transactions, and it took me to the SolidX chart because Giga was very active in those 17 hours during the hack. He sold 8 hours after Walter's wallet was drained on the SolidX chart, in which this token is the most paired in liquidity to Axis. Then 9 hours later, the hacker dumped the victim's tokens from 30,000 down to 7,000, and the only person who bought that wick in that flash crash was Giga. Remember when Walter said that these scammers planned an attack 1 month or 30 days in advance? Roll a clip.
How far back I got targeted. It had to have been a month or more.
Allow me to introduce another 30-day connection with these scammers. This is the LUSD exploit. A guy opened a trove on the protocol and then adjusted his own trove multiple times. By sending it PLS and a different LUSD price resulted in him getting roughly 13x more value in LUSD than what he put in with Pulse. Now that we got that explanation out of the way, let's move over to the charts. As you can see from the time of the exploit where these scammers bought up this massive wick after a sell-off in May, it took 30 days for them to coordinate this attack, which ended in June. And once again, guess who was at the crime scene in attendance? Here's Giga buying on the next weekly candle and selling 2 weeks at the top before the exploiters decided to crash this coin. There's only one explanation on how you sell tops after an exploit, and that's inside trading. And oh, the lies get worse. Here's Money Gang and Giga having tea and crumpets. Giga claims that Gib was the first to see 9mm rug and told Giga. Roll the clip.
I have seen the chats, man. I see that they're trying to shove it on you and blame you as well. But I think it was yourself and Gib who did kind of first report on this and what was going on. I mean, what a shit show, man. Can you just go ahead, man?
No, I was just gonna say we were literally gambling on like live stream gambling with each other, and he's like, "Yo, check out 9mm," and I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "I think it just rugged." And I was like, "Oh fuck, no way!" I was like, "I'm aping that shit, bro. Go throw a couple bands in that because it's like free money if it's not like a 0 day on fucking 9mm itself, and it was just a staking contract."
So here's the hacked wallet of Divas, which is the founder of 9mm. And the next chart that I'm about to show you will not coincide with Giga's story. That being that Gib told him first. But let's go investigate Gib's post before looking at the charts. Now here you have Gib posting his tweet at 10:17 p.m. But what's interesting is that his screenshot of the 9mm chart was taken at 9:47 p.m., which is 30 minutes before he posted his tweet. Now before I go into the 9mm chart, the story that Giga told us is that Gib told him that 9mm rugged and he went to ape in.
No, I was just gonna say we were literally gambling on like live stream gambling with each other, and he's like, "Yo, check out 9mm," and I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "I think it just rugged."
Now we previously connected two exploits to Giga by just viewing both the Axis and the LUSD charts. He was the only one during the time of the exploits to buy the bottom. And I'm sure you're all curious to see where he bought on the 9mm chart. And look at this, the hack wallet sells off and Giga, being the only one active, buying up the charts 33 minutes after an exploit happened. I'm not surprised. In fact, Gib, also being called a scammer by a plethora of people in PulseChain, was also, suspicious around the same time. So here we have more timestamps to go over. Here's Giga buying up 33 minutes after the exploit happened, but it shows that Gib took a screenshot 17 minutes later and posted his tweet 30 minutes after his screenshot was taken. So what does this mean? It means that if Giga's telling the truth, then he just snitched on his boy Gib, because you buying 33 minutes after an exploit proves that Gib was involved and he knew something was going to happen. Or you're lying and you knew something was going to happen because timestamps prove Gib took a screenshot 17 minutes after you bought and he posted it on Twitter 30 minutes later. Bet you didn't think anyone would figure that out, did you?
Giggity, giggity.
And it's about to get worse because more of them are about to get exposed, starting with Money Gang lying in his video and tweets. So Money Gang was trying to add more damage and propaganda by claiming that Deva rugged his own staking pool and found the hacker's wallet. No you didn't. In the 9mm Telegram, you'll see that Deva posted in Dox's wallet back in March this year. And if you took the time to do your research, you would know that. And the transaction that was sent 5 months ago for 100,000 Pulse was also sent from Deva. But they claimed that Deva was the one sending it to the hacker or the middleman, which is false. His wallet was hacked. And what actually happened, the hackers gained access to the admin keys using a proxy and then added a functionality. In simple plain English, a proxy is like a remote control that gives you more access and capabilities to hack. Moving on to the next clip. Money Gang was trying to justify Giga's inside trading, but there's something important that he said at the end of the video that I want you to pay attention to. Roll it.
This is just me showing the evidence of what I've seen on chain. I don't objectively agree with what Giga did, but he took advantage of the situation and he made profit. So, he bought those dips where he was watching that wallet. And if you're a good wallet watcher, you do that kind of stuff. Anyway, let me know your thoughts.
Except there's only one flaw. How could he be watching his wallet when there's only 3 transactions and the first one was a transfer? Your story doesn't add up, Money Gang. None of your stories add up. Giga said Gib told him it rugged, but the charts show us that Giga knew before Gib, and now you tell us that he's wallet watching? I'm pretty sure the audience smells bullshit from you 3. And speaking of wallet watching, this ties back to what happened 5 months ago with the victim Walter.
And then they figured out that 9D62 was that 10% holder. Paying attention to Telegram, learned that I was using, or just like knowing contract addresses.
During the Access exploit, Walter describes that these scammers were watching his wallet transactions. Huh. Isn't that the same thing that Money Gang said about Giga?
You know, he bought those dips where he was watching that wallet. And if you're a good wallet watcher, you do that kind of stuff.
I think the audience is starting to connect the dots with the people that are involved with these exploits. These next two clips are going to be side by side, and you'll notice a pattern between what Walter said 5 months ago about the Access exploit and how he was bullied and attacked for seeking the truth. Just like 9MM and Tangang was attacked for seeking the truth. Almost like deja vu.
And you feel it. You feel it in the community. Like, people put weird pressure on you, like, after you've hacked yourself by clicking buttons. Like, all kinds of people come out of the woodwork and start acting shitty toward you, and you don't even understand why, but it's really to like shake you out, get you to shut up and go away.
In order to
I have a proxy contract on this chain, and I'm gonna go. My first thing I'm gonna go attack is 65 grand worth of 9mm. That's horseshit.
Yo, that's what baffled us. That's like, what the fuck? Why wouldn't they just take it?
Oh, so you're now the attention, like you're now the center
Yo,
of
let him
attention all
speak.
of a sudden.
Okay, so I'm gonna interrupt all of you guys here.
All
What
right,
you
Nate,
guys are
just
doing
be
right
quiet,
now
'cause you was
is
trying to
literally
fill
that
our
you're
bags
just
a second
talking
ago,
over.
bro.
As soon as somebody from the Tang Gang gets in here, even though from the very beginning of this, you're literally saying, "Oh, it's just fine. We need Spooky to come in here." You know, I've invited him and everything. He doesn't come in here because this happens. As soon as we get a representative of the Tang Gang, you guys are shitting on him.
I mean, we all have a valid reason to know why. And when it comes to these allegations, none of these people took the time to research, ask questions, and seek the truth unbiasedly. So that is why the community called upon me. No one can deny the lies we found with Money Gang and his fake chart analysis, Gib lying on his posts, and exposing Giga for inside trading on 3 different charts. Not to mention the 30-day connection with Walter being exploited and hacked, to the chart showing us that these are indeed coordinated attacks. Our second story transitions to June 9th, when I received an email about a scam coin called Thank You Richard Hart. The victim, by the name Marcine, not only does his story tie in with the other victims, but he too has helped make connections to these 30-day planned attacks. But let's let him tell his story.
I realized that I was scammed at the beginning of this year, that something is wrong. I started to recognize that something is wrong when right after my buys or sales, someone was doing the same thing. It was always the same wallet, right? Because I do a lot of on-chain analysis and to see who is mixing wallets and everything else if I put some money in, right? And because those people know, because I made few mistakes, right? When there was the SEC day, I was already in Thank You Richard Hart coin, right? And I was there, I had their pretty big position, you know? And I have shared when I was bridging in to Bitcoin to buy this dip, right? And I have shared it with those people. And I think that after this, they started to try to scam me, you know?
Not only is there a connection between Walter, Devin, and Marcine, but I've talked to all 3 of them at different times to get their stories. And they all keep saying the same thing, that these exploits are planned 30 days in advance, that their wallet transactions are also being watched, and that he proves that scammers are launching proxy contracts on PulseChain.
I was warning people about 9mm that I don't like what's going with 9mm 1 month ago. And I know that those scammers are there. I told to them, look, I think right before snapshot or right before when you have to remove your liquidity, something bad will happen. I went to police and I told to them, look, guys, I think that something bad will happen. I have seen a lot of action because a lot of liquidity was removed. And I was warning people in my group 1 month ago. I was warning, and I know that those scammers are in and they have seen it. So I personally think that they would do this month ago if I wouldn't warn the people. And I fucking went to police and I told to police, look, guys, I think that something bad will happen, right? And I told about this to my people, and I know that those scammers are in my telegrams. They see what I'm writing, most likely I have the geolocation and they know that I fucking went to police, and 1 month later there was exploit on 9mm.
This next clip about proxy contracts is one of the most important parts of this video because there's an agenda being pushed to destroy the reputation of innocent people. Pay close attention to what he says. Roll it.
Why I know it? Because this Gusto, right? He was building front ends, and because of his front ends, everything that he have built, he always have access to this, some backdoor. So what happened to me, Jacob was launching a project on Binance Smart Chain, right? And I was trying to buy it, right? And I couldn't. As long as I was connected to their websites per their front ends. When I have disconnected and revoke all permissions, I was able to buy it without any problem, right? I have bought this coin. It was a tax coin. All good. I have made video about it, share it with group of my people, right? What happened next? Because I didn't want it to hurt the price, I tried to exit per liquidity pools, right? And because Jacob is always launching his every single coin with the proxy contract, always, never burnt LPs. Only Tyra was with burnt LPs, that's why he have racked 2 times. He was able to change the contract and doesn't allow me to withdraw my money, right? And when I finally did it, because I asked for help, I couldn't do any single transaction as long as I haven't revoked everything, basically all my wallet. And then I knew already that 100% those people are scammers.
The goal of this video is to provide facts and not opinions. Now it's time for the audience to hear the difference between facts and Hexy Bastard's opinions on proxy contracts.
Who rugged the protocol? I will say one thing real quick. Saying it like if people are trying to say that there's a proxy contract thing happening on PulseChain, I feel like that's reaching, and that's like literally the most unlikely thing. The most likely thing.
Bullshit, bro.
Yeah,
Okay.
the most
Listen,
likely thing that's happened is
data,
just that
it's on-chain data, and really, to be honest.
No, look, so like the most likely outcome here is that it was just either the dev or one of the guys on the team. That's the most likely. The second most likely is his computer got compromised. That's the second most likely. The thing about there being a proxy contract on the chain, that's kind of crazy, man. That's just like FUD, honestly.
One thing I found disturbing while making this video, it makes you wonder without a shadow of a doubt how many influencers are crooked and possibly in on it. I've uncovered so many lies with so many people that I can promise the audience it's going to get a lot worse, especially knowing that you trusted these people, the same way the victims trusted them. But I've put this video in chronological order because these scammers and hackers have been exploiting PulseChain for a very long time. And this next clip proves Marcine is telling the truth about proxy contracts. Roll it.
They are, let's say, so stupid, right? Because right now they have this mafia token, right? If you go to to Pulse Explorer, right? If you go to the token, you check the token, and if you go to read the contract, you see that it's one more proxy contract, and there are some, let's say, whitelist, blacklist, excluded from tax, right? Because this is how they are pumping those tax tokens. They exclude some addresses, so they don't pay the tax, and they pump this coin, right? And most likely, in a lot of those coins, tax is like from few percent to like 20, right? So they exclude wallets that they are buying from paying the tax, and you can simply go to Pulse Scan, find this coin, and you will see it. It's there, right? Exclude from the tax, right? So proxy contracts never banned LPs, and if the LPs were banned, this project get racked till zero, right? This is how you can find their coins. All same. Doesn't matter, tax token, no tax token, because they were launching a lot of shit coins. A lot.
So the coin that the audience just saw was called Mike, and it was launched by a known scammer who goes by the name Almighty. He added an external function that could stop anyone who isn't whitelisted from selling. Plus his coin is rugged 99%. And unfortunately, there are some influencers who associate with him. Now, why is this important? Because Almighty's real name is Elijah Christian Peck, only using his middle name so no one can find his criminal records or past. It's important to know these criminals' backgrounds because most likely they'll commit another crime and try to get away with it. He's a criminal, a thug, and still participates in illegal activities, which is why it makes sense that Gib, Giga, and other influencers collaborate with him. No wonder you guys use alias names. Now listen to Marcine talk about sniper bots and loopholes in Telegram.
Right? They were working with scammers. They were scamming on a lot of the chains because this is what White Hacker, Chef PLS, have found with me back then when there was exploit in Tyra. We have found this whole connection. And because they have found a hole in Telegram, they can send you some shit and they see everything what you are doing, right? They were able to snipe with sniper bots every single fair lunch.
Now listen to this criminal openly admit he uses sniper bots, and then listen to what he says about 9mm.
Like, I'm not personally participating in trying to snipe stuff. I just simply do not have the time. I don't have the time. I couldn't care less about trying to do any of that. That might be a good segue. So simple question, does V3 liquidity stop people from being able to snipe?
Fuck no.
Fuck no. Fuck no.
It's a lot of a finesse, bro. Because I know, because I've done trial and error by myself. Like I'd go make us something and try to snipe it, and it still works, bro. And plus, we've sniped hella V3 on 9mm. And then if you look at the 9mm token, that shit got sniped. That shit got raped. There's someone that helped.
Bro, exactly. Oh, I didn't want to bring it on myself, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I know guys that got that. There was about 1,000 people waiting for that to come out so that they could try and snipe it.
I mean,
seriously.
bro, I'm bullish on 9mm. I'm not like hating on it, but somebody got 2.8 million, I want to say, or something. They got a big percentage, and they created a sell wall. There's somebody malicious that doesn't like the 10 game, basically, but not I.
Okay, let me get this straight. So you're telling me you guys are so bullish 5 months ago, but in the comments 9 months ago you said you're bearish. Sounds like somebody's being suspectable. And who are these malicious people that don't like the Tang gang?
Not I.
What's even more funny, right? Because I was working with a group of people from this Tyra ecosystem, and I have scammers in. Those scammers were always DMing me, asking for advice, asking what I know. So I was building around it. I was teaching people about liquidity pools, about liquidity management, about how crypto works, right? Because it's all about ratio trading. I tried to build around this Thank You Richard Head project because back then I have believed that they are actually good people, and they will try to fix everything, and that they are like try to bring something innovative and everything else, right? And some people joined me, right? And I thought that everyone wants to help me to make this project successful, and we will go forward, right? But what turned out that a lot of those people that have joined me, this was part of the team of Thank You Richard Head. And they were learning with me some tricks, liquidity pools tricks, how things are working. I was giving them TA for a lot of projects that they have good entries, And when I have figured out that I think that this group is, this is like 40, 50 people probably. And those are big names, like big names on PulseChain. Those are basically all influencers, maybe not all, but a lot of influencers.
And speaking of influencers, don't you find it odd that every single time there's an exploit, scam, or even a hate mob, it's the same people? They end up going on Twitter Spaces, live streams, or even telegrams, and all you have to do is observe and pay close attention. In fact, the lies at this point have been said by both influencers and scammers. Either all of them are disingenuous or just idiots. I'm pretty sure both. And this is just way too suspicious. Gib posted this tweet about bridging 100K to buy more PulseChain literally days after the Axis exploit. And here he is posting another tweet just days after the 9mm exploit. Keep in mind, his story with Giga is a lie because on-chain analysis proves that.
So I went to police, and police told me, look, here you have a new device. Let's see what will happen, right? And those scammers were so stupid that they were using a fake Twitter account. It was, I think, some influencer from PulseChain. It was like, and in this messages, they were telling to me, look, because we care about transparency and everything else, some bullshit, what you are doing, blah, 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 right? We will record your transaction. I was thinking like, what the hell you are even doing? So what ended to happen, right? When I have login to my MetaMask or Rabbi, doesn't matter, every single time, you have this records from game, right? This you can record when you play a game or when you make a video. You can record what you are doing, right? So every single transaction that I was making was recorded. Do you get it? And when I was trying to change the settings to not record it because it was changed, I didn't change it. When I changed it, when I was turning it off, it went off for like 10 minutes, and later once again it was on. The point is I didn't click anything. I didn't click any single link. I simply didn't, because police told me don't click anything.
I need to break that last part down for the audience, because it shows how sophisticated these hackers really are. And like you said, this is not a few people. This is at least 20 to 30 people plus. Marcine filed a police report early this year, and he reported that these scammers and hackers not only drained his wallets, but had access to all his devices and recorded him from his own computer, basically taking control of his mouse and key functions. Listening to him, Marcine is telling the truth, and here's a clip of a hacker who explains how this is done. Check this out.
It's just one of many Wi-Fi attacks, so there's many ways.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi.
What else can this thing do? This thing's like the size of the palm of your hand.
Yeah, well, with this little, custom extension, especially when I have my big, these aren't the big antennas, but I got big antennas because, I want to get long range. But, that's Wi-Fi. This side of things is also Wi-Fi, but also it's an NRF 24. So it does wireless mice and keyboards. So if you use a wireless mouse and keyboard, not every single one of them is vulnerable, but a lot of them are. I'd highly recommend you go back to wired. Even though it sounds old school, that's what you should do, because I could control your mouse and keyboard with this device and send keystrokes way faster than you can type them, and take over your computer without even having to see you or it. So I could do that through the wall.
This is scaring the shit out of me.
Once again, the people that I've interviewed are not only victims, but have never talked to each other. And what Marcine says next about good projects and good people has to prove that there's an agenda to attack them.
I knew that what they are doing, because right now everyone knows, okay, this guy is scammer, this guy is scammer, this guy is scammers. What they are doing right now, they are going to legit projects, to legit people that have good intentions, and they try to use them, right? And if those people are not smart enough and put some trust in those other guys, right? They try to build something, right, on someone that is actually legit, rugged, exploited, steal money, and blame this guy who is actually legit, right? Because he is the founder, he is the face, and he is actually legit.
Now listen to this character named Buck and how calculated his slander was towards Tangang and 9mm.
I got one more point to make about this, guys, and then I'll let you guys get on with your bashing of the Tangang. This thing was not some gigabrain, exploit, right? That sort of stuff does happen in crypto. That's not what this was, right? This is just incompetence or theft, right? It's possible, that exploits can happen. And that happens to good protocols all the time. And it's still, the responsibility of the developers of those protocols to, to do their utmost to avoid it, but it happens and it's understandable. But that's not what this was. This is just theft or incompetence. So you know, if you're an influencer saying, well, look, the website's working, everything else is great, you know, you're ignoring that, and that I think makes you complicit.
It's okay,
So I think
Swami.
it's a terrible look.
You know what else is a bad look? That these influencers shared a fake diva post linking to a scam revoke page. Not only did they highlight it on their Jumbotron, but they kept it there for 3,000 people who tuned in, and victims most likely clicked it. And the same thing happened to Walter when Giga and Almighty added him to a fake block blend Telegram, causing him to click a phishing link and drain his wallets. Didn't Buck say how incompetent you have to be for stuff like this to happen? So what does that make them?
Complicit.
So here's the fake diva page and post, and you can tell by how the name is spelled. His @name has an E at the end and the letter O instead of 0. Plus the retweets and likes are bots, and you can tell it's fake because the comment section are full of bots. The real Deva's @name has an A at the end and the number 0. If you look at the bottom fake page, it has an E with the letter O. And so many bots retweeted and liked it, which makes me transition to this scammer who was the first to break the news on 9mm. That's right, Tiny Tots. We ran a full audit on your X account, which includes the following: audience quality, reach distribution, and followers posts. Now let's begin. Every stat that you see in red means it's fake, so pay close attention. 64% of his comments are bots. 67% of his likes and retweets are bots. And of course, 55% of his following are bots. So why is this important? Because it proves they are lying, and clearly there's an agenda against good people and good protocols. And also proves this little midget is a fanboy of my work and stalks my page. So my team and I has audited his account since 2,000 followers 1 month ago, and suddenly he boosted his account to 6,000, right around the same amount as mine, trying to gauge and follow my account activity. For the audience to note, X has strict policies on users who abuse the botting system, such as bans and suspensions. And the two most important questions we have for this little man, Mr. Gibson Sailu: why did you bot your account? And did you make the botted Deva account?
Oh, sorry. Can I get hearts in the chat for anybody that was attacked for no reason by the Tang Gang? Give me some
About to
hearts.
see a lot of hearts. My heart's so black right now.
Did you hear them gremlins snuckling? I don't find it funny that a bunch of out-of-shape grown men spend their time gossiping when you should be looking into this. Unless you have personal vendettas. So if you don't care about them or the situation, why are you hosting Twitter spaces talking about the Tang Gang?
Hold on a second, Almighty Rat. I think Marcine can explain that.
They will wreck your project, they will wreck your reputation, and they will make people think that you are actually a scammer. So this is the worst part, right? Because you can lose money, but if you lose reputation, and even if you try to make everything correct, everything fair, share ideas, good entry points, good exit points, right? Those people will try to use you and milk as much money from you as possible. But if you know that those people are scammers, they see what you are doing, you can actually outplay them.
And finally, we let the founder of 9mm speak his piece on what happened. Of course, I'm referring to Deva.
What happened was the contract itself was like a upgradable proxy contract. Okay, so yeah, so what happened was the owner had transferred the contract to some other address, and this address then changed the contract implementation. Basically, is what happened. What he did, he transferred the contract and then changed the function. He had to change it because like we had made it sure like this is not possible. Then he transferred the contract. He changed the function to add an implementation where he could just withdraw all to admin. The problem was the admin had the right to upgrade the proxy, the contract.
And this is Marcine's final statement, which correlates to what Walter said about these coordinated scammers.
Back then, I have believed that they are actually good people, you know. But what turned out that a lot of those people that have joined me, this was part of the team.
The connection between these victims and exploits is that these scammers pretend to be good people, reaching out to learn, infiltrating your circles, and gaining your trust. And speaking of trust, Profeta and Bullish from Tang Gang said the same thing about Money Gang Crypto.
I was teaching him how to do this stuff, right? But not everything. But most of the time, everything that happens, he will call me, hey, bro, do you have info on this? I will like, yeah, bro, let me send the info to him. And it was very strange that when he posted all this stuff, I told him, bro, you better ask for info before you start talking like that. He didn't answer me. Because he could have stayed humble. I said, bro, do you have info on it? No, because they are together with Hax Bastard and all these people all together on the same boat.
Bro, you lost credibility when you mentioned Money Grind Crypto, who's known for spreading misinformation. I even had to call him out multiple times, slide in his DM, correct him, and be like, bro, shut the fuck up. You're wrong. I'm going to take the heat away from you, but you can't keep doing this shit. He kept on doing this shit. Like, when any of that group starts talking shit, you can't take anything with a grain of salt.
And speaking of Money Gang, Giga went on a live stream with him recently and said something about breeding with mulatto women that I found interesting. Listen to the location and the women they refer to.
You because you're repopulating the earth.
I know. We need more Gigas out here. I like this. Giga's cool. This is good. More
Yeah,
Gigas.
I've been telling Money Gang he just needs to like start impregnating all these mulatto women and just like populating South America with
I'm seriously fucking considering it, man, because
little 6'5" fucking boys.
Money Gang, all you got to do, get that Portuguese up. You'll be good, bro. You gonna kill it. You don't even need a Portuguese. I'll be honest, bro. Like, you're gonna kill it.
Do you know what?
You gonna
Like,
kill it.
I saw a really, because obviously I need a second passport somewhere. So I've got a NATO passport, I've got a UK passport, but I don't have unless Scotland go independent, then I can't get their passport from the UK. I can't get that passport. So I was like actually considering, and I was like doing some research, right, from Nomad Capitalist and a couple of other guys.
Yeah.
Turns out one of the easiest ways and one of the cheapest ways is that if you get a girl knocked up from Brazil or Argentina, like in that.
Oh, you told me this.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I gotta hear this. Yeah, keep going, bro.
Bro, I can get a passport in 2 weeks, man, and I need
real?
that BRICS passport. Yeah, for real, for real. If you get a Brazilian chick knocked up and she has a kid in Brazil, you can get citizenship in 2 weeks.
Oh, and this is where shit hits the fan.
Okay, I think I'm ready. Hi, this one's for Hexolio. Hexolio. Look like MRI is over. Shut your ass up.
In the summertime of July, a Brazilian by the name Pulse Latina infiltrated the community of simps and gained the trust of certain influencers. Once she launched her farms and scam token, she rug pulled within hours, walking away with almost $500,000. So the question is, how does she do it? And where does she come from? Well, besides proving she's an actress and a con artist, we know that she's part of a team, which makes me believe she wasn't hired to act, but paid to play her role in the group. Like reaching out to influencers in hopes they would promote her scam, and then eventually be the fall guys or blamed for promoting a scammer, just like Marcine said in his clip.
They will wreck your project, they will wreck your reputation, and they will make people think that you are actually a scammer.
But I want you to listen to how scripted this is when Pulse Latina reached out to a YouTuber by the name Bartertown, because that word script is going to be very important in exposing who's behind Pulse Latina later on. Roll the clip.
Hey Ray, how you doing, my friend? Just want to let you know that I'm launching soon. Not sure about the exact date or time, but as I see you're a YouTuber, I would love that you make a video on the launch. So I want to know the best time range or the best period for you so you don't miss the launch. Please let me know. Bye-bye.
So the way that she talks
is kind of like she got a flashcard in front of her. You know what I'm saying? Or like she's reading from a script.
I have to agree with Ray here. It is scripted and wrote out for her. But once again, how did she do it? Where did she come from?
You know, it's kind of like, okay, she's making a yield farm. I'm not sure if she's qualified to make a yield farm. So I'm like kind of like shaky about that part. But then I'm like, oh, okay. She has a lot of engagement because she's kind of tapped in to that whole other side of PulseChain, which we would call the Cabal, quote unquote. She was tapped into a lot of the other guys. So I was thinking about it like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
So let me get this straight. A random girl shows up in PulseChain and is instantly tapped in with this Cabal group, almost like she was planted by them. Well, in order for us to solve this mystery, why don't we play a clip from Giga and who he thinks is behind Pulse Latina?
And also, Maddie's a scammer. Maddie Allen is a scammer, and Pulse Latina, who's, I think, Gunther, is a scammer.
Interesting take from a compulsive liar. So he claims that Gunther is behind Pulse Latina, so let's rewind all the way back to April of this year, to the very first person who exposed Pulse Latina for being a scammer, warning people that she was going to scam them. In fact, he was right. She came out as an actor and exposed herself. Even at the very end, she wrote something similar to what Gunther said before he deactivated his Twitter account. And I quote, "I shall remain a shadow player forever." Thanks to Almighty and Giga, you would think the case was closed. Except, I was scratching my head thinking to myself, this was a little too easy to solve. And they solved it within the hour. The same way they claimed to solve the 9mm exploit within an hour. What made me realize something was off was how Almighty was the first to call her out back in April as a scammer. But knowing that, he willingly sent her messages trying to collaborate and have her promote his mic token with a shout out, the same way Pulse Latina reached out to Bartertown asking him for a shout out.
Good morning, good morning. So, basically my proposal to you was, I still haven't video chat you. I do believe you're real, but I think we have to hop on a video call just so I can make 100%. Cause so basically what most people do is they just get their girlfriend or whatever to take a couple pictures and say a couple lines and then just, yeah. Especially like the fact that you're gonna launch a token like ASAP after not really being around for so long, like people are gonna get real sus of it. So I would just, honestly, I would stick around this community and prove a little more that you're real, hop into spaces, start talking to people. Like I said, if you hop on a video call with me, it can be, right, kind of dead, like 100%, so we'll see.
If you knew 100% she was a scammer, why would you want her to promote your reflection token? I know why. Either A, Almighty is a liar, or B, Almighty is a liar and an actor. Now let's build that evidence for the audience. The most important part in uncovering Pulse Latina is in the post she shared on Twitter about Almighty.
So, you're mad at me? You mad at me, Pulse Latina? Apologize, okay, good. Oh, I could use that. Oh. What counter from or amor? Amor? I have a purpose. Purpose. Want a sponsor before drop. I get dinner. Gets mad like a bitch. So, this is all much for you guys.
It sounds authentic and believable that Pulse Latina would post an exposed video on Almighty, but this is going to be the biggest twist in uncovering Pulse Latina. You see, she already admitted to being an actor, a paid actor, but she needed a dance partner, someone who's good at playing the villain, which means this entire interaction with Almighty is scripted. Allow me to explain. Do you remember earlier in the videos about those 30-day connections?
How far back I got targeted. It had to have been a month or more.
I was warning people about 9mm that I don't like what's going with 9mm 1 month ago.
It took 30 days for them to coordinate this attack, which ended in June. Their biggest fuck up was in the post she shared on Twitter when she exposed the script. She says, "A month ago, a guy called Almighty contacted me. Keep in mind, people, she's an actor. Everything she's ever posted was fake, including the drama with Almighty. He was reaching out to her early to stage his alibi. He knew playing the villain would be easy, and being called a simp and having your conversations posted publicly would allow him to cover his tracks. Once they planned to expose their private conversations, they knew good people with good intentions would try to rally behind a female victim, and unfortunately was able to fool your friend Somi, because when their drama got enough attention, Somi had to cover the news, which was the group's plan to not only gain more trust from the victims, but create fall guys or frame good people. Not only did Pulse Latina reach out to influencers to promote her scam, but it would have allowed the Cabal to point fingers at everyone except them, turning more victims against good people and good protocols. You know, the old switcheroo. Now that we know how sophisticated this scandal was, we know Pulse Latina and Almighty staged an alibi with their fake acting. We also know Giga lied about Gunther being behind Pulse Latina because these scammers can't just have an alibi, they have to have a fall guy and plant fake evidence. Well, Giga tells you in this next clip. Roll it.
I helped make the Hex logo. I fucking made all the Richard Kecks, all the boys, K9, all their fucking memes and shit. They were asking me, I have screenshots of them asking me for fucking memes in 2020.
They've been keeping screenshots since 2020, and it allows them to fabricate more lies and infinite scams, framing good people with good intentions, just like what Ray says about Pulse Latina in this clip. Roll it.
Extra cheesy. Another shady move she made was tagging all influencers in her chat under admin role. Oh yeah, that was another one. Facts. Even influencers, if you're somebody who has a chat, somebody who has a name somewhere, people know who you are. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll invite you to, come check out the Telegram. And then they'll put you as an admin, and then they'll screenshot you and say, see, look, he's here.
Now that we know that Pulse Latina was an actor and involved with Almighty's crew, we also know that she's not a coder. And speaking of coding, guess who else claims they're not a coder?
I mean, if the association is that, if it's with an association of people, that's fine. But like, people saying that I like fucking conducted these hacks, like I barely could write like fucking 10 lines of code in Python, which is fucking hilarious. And like, they're like, oh yeah, he fucking ran an upgrade on the 9mm contract.
I mean, at this point, your lies make me sick to my stomach. But at least you told one truth, and that's having an association with these people. But let's entertain that lie for a second. We know you're an inside trader connected to these exploits, and we know you're the founder of Doji Inu. Your Face Clan emails can verify that. And of course, doing on-chain analysis, we found the 15 grand you sent them after they scammed your dumbass. And also the contract address you created for Doji Inu, including the websites, other links, and Facebook page. Not only are the comments on there confirming you're a scammer trying to steal seed phrases, but in the comments on your botted Twitter page, people are saying the same thing. But it doesn't stop there. We found your Reddit page, both your Doji and Giga account. What we find odd is you buying computer parts in cash, with multiple purchases in different states. So my question is, if you're not a coder, then what are you doing buying keyboards and computer parts all over the country in the same year? And speaking of states, we've noticed you had multiple purchases in Ohio, and in your previous Twitter page, you made reference to Ohio in a racist post you tweeted. But we'll get back to that later. We also know due to the screenshots you posted, you're operating in Eastern Standard Time. But sorry I got sidetracked. Let's get back to Reddit. So you're buying so many keyboards and parts and claim you're not a coder, but you have a GitHub account with a repositories page, which implies you could make some smart contracts to some degree. And I'm pretty sure you'll try to fact check me because Doji Inu was forked, and all you did was just copy and paste it. But when I typed your Reddit username on Google, the tags of Hackster.io appeared. And for those who are unaware, this website is for coders and developers who use GitHub. Although it mainly focuses on hardware and electronic projects, Giga is not only linked to these scams and exploits, but someone with bad intentions pretending to collaborate on a project and gain trust would have access to private repositories, personal data, or sensitive information, which would allow them to disguise malicious codes and proxy contracts. In plain English, Giga's working in a part of a developing team, social engineering on PulseChain, exploiting innocent people and their protocols. And I get it. You would try to fact check me and tell me I'm wrong, and I would counter by fact checking you again. How's that Great Hexolio account doing? Suspended?
Brother, just building up my Twitter again. I got Hexolio banned. The Great Hexolio account got banned, so I had to rebuild my fucking whole Twitter. That was my old shit, bro. I helped make the Hex logo. I fucking made all the Richard Kecks, all the boys, K9, all their fucking memes and shit. They were asking me. I have screenshots of them asking me for fucking memes in 2020. That's back when I was Hexolio. I have conversations with Twos. Me and Twos fucking make memes all the time together. That was way before Tang Gang. That was way before any of that shit.
Are you even aware that Giga is Hex, whatever it is?
I mean, I mentioned it before.
Hexfolio?
Yeah, the Great Hexolio.
That's interesting, except there's only one problem. If this is your new account, then why was it made back in 2020? I thought you said you got banned 4 years ago. The truth is, the Great Hexolio was never banned, and the easy way to prove it is by typing it on Google, because the meta tags would be saved. So either you're lying or I'm lying, and so far I'm undefeated with facts. So let's see what happens. Oh no, he didn't. Would you look at that? Guess what pops up on Google on the first page? You mean to tell me you've been lying this whole time and nobody thought to look this up? So the real question is, how did he do it? And why does it say suspended? Well, that's going to be easy to explain. Also very clever on his part. But let me give an example of how this works. When you're banned on Discord, it bans the IP address, so you have to use a VPN in order to get back into the server. And when you're banned on Telegram, it bans the associated phone number. That means that you have to register a new number in order to return back to the group. But when you're banned on Twitter, it doesn't ban the IP address or the number. It bans the username, which means that Giga was creating burner accounts, swapping the usernames from account 1 to account 2, and then false flagging the new account with his old username. And we've already proven with facts that his boy Gib Mercs bots his own page. So they use bots to mass flag a page on Twitter, so you can't see when it was made, only enough to show a suspension to give them an alibi. Unfortunately for them, all you have to do is type in the Great Hexolio on Google, and the meta tags show this is the original account, in which he claimed was brand new, but the account shows that it was made 4 years ago. Right around the same time the Great Hexolio was supposedly suspended. And a reminder, he recently just did this with his other Giga account. He false flagged and got it suspended. And if he brought it back already, it's most likely private with a different username so he can delete all the evidence and create more false alibis. At this point, Googling Hexolio proves no one suspended his accounts. So he lies and likes to play games because he thinks you're all retarded.
People don't like harsh realities. And then that harsh reality is generally that they're retarded. And that's why I get to have fun.
So just to go over the facts, the Great Hexolio account is not banned. He just swapped the old username with a burner account. And the Rhesus monkey was so stupid he logged back into a 2020 account and claimed it was new. And we also know that you've been taking screenshots for the last 4 years. Because you said it yourself.
I helped make the Hex logo. I fucking made all the Richard Kecks. All the boys, K9, all their fucking memes and shit. They were asking me. I have screenshots of them asking me for fucking memes in 2020.
A lot of times what they'll do is they'll invite you to, come check out the Telegram. And then they'll put you as an admin and then they'll screenshot you and say, see, look, he's here.
He's an inside trader involved in exploits and illegal activity. Not to mention all of his scam coins that he's proud of launching. Everyone that I've name dropped in this video has been exposed. But don't give him too much credit. Giga, Almighty, and Gib are just grunts. Second-class citizens to the higher-ups. Don't get me wrong, they're involved in everything going on, and every victim should seek justice, starting with filing police reports. And don't forget that this group is much bigger than just 3 stooges. But what I find to be the most disturbing and disgusting thing about him is 2 things. One, his racist tweets, calling people the hard R and saying that he hates Indians, simply discriminating against the founder of 9mm, Deva, because of his race, which we've proven Deva's innocent and Giga knows this. So this blatantly means he's just a hardcore racist. Keep in mind, he can't post anything about other people being racist because it would destroy his argument. So he tells Gib and Almighty to do it, which is why he then deletes the tweet, and then the next day they post it. Or he simply just makes burner accounts and they just bot the likes and retweets. But this next tweet is where we as a community draw the line. I'm not going to go in full detail, but you can clearly see the message that this predator is advocating and justifying underage children with adults. He even gets aggressive with someone by calling them a nigger in the tweet. Understand he's made it clear he's okay with grooming children whose minds aren't even fully developed. And this is someone's daughter, sister, and even niece. This should blow your mind, especially for the influencers who continue to follow him and associate with him. Understand, for the sake of your business, association with this trash is going to ruin your reputation. And it's not like they don't see him posting this. They just don't simply care until it goes viral. Not only is he a racist, but a predator with these statements. The PulseChain community shouldn't associate with this sick-minded trash. This goes for him, Almighty, and Gib. And this community is going to question any influencer associated with them, and most likely unfollow you due to them being exposed for lying and being a part of these exploits. And remember, if you ignore any of this, then it shows you're also okay with his sexual, predatory behavior.
The conspiracy is the biggest problem that I've seen in a long time. Now, there's always been conspiracy theories, don't get me wrong. But it's gotten very dangerous, gotten very, very dangerous, because we no longer look to vetted sources. We no longer look to journalists that are out there really doing work. We no longer look to people who had a sound voice in the past. Now we can pass them all off as part of the cabal, part of the them, the theys. It's funny because I've been lumped into the they now, or the cabal. I've been called the Hexagon OG cabal. Somehow we've got a what do you call it? A freaking Illuminati of hexagons in the background that are doing things to all of you guys, and I find that very, very, very funny. It's not the way things are, guys. It's not the way things are. Those of us who have been here for a while, those of us who have done things, have done just that. We've done things. We've worked. We've put back. We've given back. And for some of you who think otherwise, I got news for you. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't done nothing to you. This market has done it to you. And you have done it to you. So that's what I really want to get at here, is that you are responsible for you.
As we transition to the final chapter of this documentary, Captain RG3 would like to remind all victims that it's not the scammers or hackers' fault, it's your fault. You heard it from the OG Hexagons themselves. They don't believe you. They won't help you. In fact, not one of these big platforms other than Sota's is reporting this unbiasedly. And you know what else is a fact? They're all in the DMs claiming that Sota is a problem for the so-called cabal, which makes sense to why I'm blocked by some of these influencers. Keep in mind, I've never had an interaction with these people, and yet they come to my page and block me. You see, they tried to play the whole racial angle back in April and thought they could cancel me and failed. And it makes sense why there were so many influencers retweeting and liking the post. When they claimed they doxed me, they really exposed themselves in an instance, because when it was posted by the three scammers, Giga, Almighty, and Gib, almost instantly the hate reactions were from the same influencers in this video. You know, the so-called cabal. So I'm going to dedicate this part of the video to all of you who are clearly in bed with these scammers, starting with Marco the Hexagon, who was shadow banned from Hexaco, clowned on a live stream by a bunch of drunk people, and had his Puerto Rican pass rejected by Dr. Robotnik. Next on the list is Byron Williams and Ian Heinich, two of the biggest pump and dump scammers I've ever seen. And I also never forget or forgive either Mr. Titty Poppins, Randy Hilarski. That's right, Chubbs, we know all about you too. Moving on to the next person, which I typically don't give idiots like this any of my attention, but this hook-nosed DICK lip-syncer Harris is a grifting bitch. And for those who respect my work, I want you to block and remove yourself from this loser, who couldn't find a way to go viral, so he had to buy followers with his corny-ass giveaways, begging for my approval since the day he swapped burner accounts. So continue to bring my name up, and I'll continue to bring yours up. And last but not least, KDP. Not only is she involved in this, but she's dating the little guy, the little munchkin guy, Gibson Silu, whom we've already exposed and shamed, by the way. You see, they use her platform to coordinate loyalty with the victims. And if you've noticed how different she's been acting lately, you will see how biased she's been with the 9mm exploit. Not only did we prove Deva was innocent, but someone with a platform like hers is dangerous, especially when she's in bed literally with a scammer, which also shows there's a conflict of interest. Katie's not here for PulseChain. Katie is not here for PulseChain. She's been building her platform for something far worse. Don't you find it odd she's in every Telegram with people who are known scammers? So as long as there's money involved, she's involved. I told you I have eyes everywhere. I know you need Gib making posts defending you on Twitter when people criticize you. I also know all of you are in groups calculating tweets to post at random times. To the audience, their tweets are all scripted. It's just acting. All her Richard Hart Maxi tweets were to sucker you in like Pulse Latina. They needed to push a female influencer, even if it meant showing half-naked photos. The same way they claim to have found Pulse Latina's location. It's all scripted by the same people, most likely in the same group that Katie's in. So somehow you find Pulse Latina's location, but you don't find a face, address, or name? They most likely took these photos before she became public, once again playing the heroes and the villains. Which means this guy Neo is probably a burner account used by the same scammers who deployed Pulse Latina, allowing them to build trust again and again and again with the same victims. Because why else is the Twitter account suspended? It's because they run various accounts and you don't know who's real or who's fake anymore. Which is why I'm going to save the rest of the names for the next documentary. That's right, there's going to be a part 2, and it's going to be a lot more shocking than the first. So let's wrap this video up with real information and a plan. We know that these criminals never leave the crime scene, and they always stay near. They didn't think or expect a mastermind like myself could crack the case. So here's how they do it. Step 1, plan the attacks 30 days in advance. Step 2, their victim selection is based off of psychological weakness, such as trust. Step 3, they prearrange alibis and fall guys. They also use screenshots, new and old since 2020, to frame innocent people. Step 4, they have a sophisticated team such as influencers, developers, and founders to coordinate these attacks. Step 5, they always stay near to the crime scene, such as Giga joining Telegrams to snoop or them hosting Twitter spaces. And Step 6, rebuilding trust with the victims and turning them against good people and good protocols, becoming the gatekeepers of PulseChain. Now that I've given this valuable information, just know I will always defend the innocent and help victims seek justice, unlike the so-called hexicans. No one should pass judgment before actual evidence is confirmed, and every last one of those influencers that attack these innocent victims should be shamed and unfollowed. They've lost all credibility, and not one of them could destroy this video of evidence. So I give you permission to upload it, share it, and tag Richard Hart because he needs to see this. And it's very important that this video gets talked about for the remainder of the year. This is the most controversial video ever made on PulseChain, and dare I say I was the only one willing to do it. There needs to be chatter as I prepare for the making of part 2. They will come for me, and if they do, then they've chosen their fate. A reminder, this is at least 40 to 50 people doing these coordinated attacks. Influencers, founders, developers, etc. are all involved. Do not give them the chance to speak. They didn't give you a chance to speak and blame the victims. Create YouTube streams, Twitter spaces, Telegram chats. Talk about it, react to it, keep the conversation going, and never let it die. Because I guarantee you, they will try to gatekeep this video as they've tried with me. Now you understand why they push propaganda and have influencers promote it. So don't forget to tag Richard and Eric Wall. Do not let them silence you and win. Without you, they would be nothing. They are nothing because we make PulseChain. And this is our story. And it goes by saying, drain the swamp and burn them all down. Class dismissed.